man. Calvin Johnson rips the Detroit Lions organization again. And let's talk about what he said. He was on a podcast, and I'll link it in the description. But, it's unfortunate. He's not the only Detroit Lion player to rip the organization. And the fans turn on the players, but they never turn on the organization. It's my problem. If one person's saying it out of hundreds and thousands and millions of people, then, okay, we could just sweep it under the rug. Maybe he had a bad experience, but when it's consistent with multiple people saying the same thing, then, you gotta look at the organization funny. You know what I'm saying? But let's talk about it. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, bell icon button, share the video. And check our Detroit Lions playlist for more videos like this. Today, the Pistons are on ESPN. They have a national television game with the Brooklyn Nets, which should be really, really good. The Nets and Pistons game, I think they all been good this season so far. So, NBA being in for a treat. But, he basically said that multiple Lion players told him to retire if they were in his shoes. All right. And I believe him. Lomas Brown probably was one of them. Lomas Brown went on record say he would have been in the Hall of Fame if it wasn't for the Detroit Lions organization hampering his chances at being a winner. And I'm paraphrasing what he said, but he said that late last year. Some Lion fans got mad when I did the video. Some people supported him. But, I could see that. I could see Barry, talking to him on the low and telling him what it was. And a lot of this stems from them not paying him. I think they said it was $1 million they took from him. It wasn't even that much money where, you see Andrew Luck, they give him all the money in Indianapolis. They didn't actually recoup no money. And when somebody like Calvin Johnson get a body and they sold to an organization, and they made a ton of money off selling his jersey. They made a ton of money off, tickets, people to come to see him. Yeah, he feels some type of way. They should have gave him the money. He gave his heart and his soul to this organization. He had, nerve issues. His fingers was broken up, and they didn't put a team around him and Matthew Stafford for when they could succeed. And what I get from other fans, from Cowboys and Colts fans and Giants, y'all had Calvin Johnson. Like, that's enough. That's not enough. Excuse me. Look at Kansas City, Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins, Travis Kelce, Hardman. You know what I'm saying? Williams out the backfield. And not to name some of their defensive guys, Chris Jones, Frank Clark, you know what I'm saying, Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, just to name a few. And look at San Francisco, DeForest Buckner, Eric Armstead, D Ford, Richard Sherman, you know what I'm saying, Jimmy Garoppolo, George Kittles, and it takes competent general managers to do that as well, too. And he goes on also to say that when he went around consulting with other teams after he retired, which people were saying he was trying to basically force the Lions to trade him to go to another organization. He said that when he checked out other organizations, that he found out that they was treating players better than the Lions had treated him. He said, for me, I thought only being in one organization my entire career, this is how it goes. You know what I'm saying? And he really didn't go into particulars. He said when I went to consult, with other teams, that he went out there with the Raiders, the Seahawks, and he was basically saying, this is how the organization take care of players. He was like, well, in Detroit, they didn't do that for us. And that goes back to say what Richard Sherman said. He said, I didn't want to come to no stiff organization where, the Patriot way and the organization wasn't going to win games just for a couple more dollars or a couple more million. He said, I wanted to go somewhere where it was a system fit and a culture that fit where I was going to thrive at. And that's why people won't come to be a free agent in Detroit. This is why they can't get players to come here. Not only the perception of Detroit, which is totally different, when you got millions and millions of dollars. Shit, if you got a couple $100,000, shit, if you make $60,000 a year, your perception of Detroit different because you're not going to live in Detroit. But that's another story for another day. But also, it's the culture. It's the organizations in Detroit. The ownership is terrible. You read about some of the shittiest things the Illiches have done. Check that HBO documentary out on them. And you look at Martha Ford. They don't believe in putting the right people in place for them to be successful. So, absolutely not. Do I love the Lions? Yes. If I wasn't from Detroit, would I be a Lions fan? Probably absolutely not. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely not. But that's the team I grew up watching. That's the team I grew up wearing the merchandise. And, that's just my hometown team. And I feel like that's just who I'm going to ride with. I can't switch up. But do I like the organization? No, and I don't understand how people can turn on Calvin Johnson. You know what I'm saying? When it's not him just saying it. If you pull Herman Moore to the side, you pull Lomas Brown to the side, you pull Barry Sanders to the side. And remember, a lot of fans turned on Barry Sanders when he was going through the same thing until the Lions pretty much closed the gap and brought him back into the fold. Remember, people was mad at Barry, but they're now looking at how Barry gave his blood, sweat, and tears to an organization he wanted to go somewhere else and win. Now, could he win in Miami? Not sure at the time. You know what I'm saying? But getting rid of Eric Kramer and getting Scott Mitchell here and picking Joey Harrington and keeping and hiring Matt Millen, a guy who never did the job. Then firing Matt Millen and and not burning down an organization and promoting a guy that was with Matt Millen making the bad decisions in Martin Mayhew. And then again, firing Mayhew down the line and bringing in a guy in Bob Quinn who never did the job before, and really pretty much Bill Belichick was responsible for everything that goes on in New England as far as personnel and coaching. So, come on, the organization makes stupid decision after stupid decision. And, Mark DeForest should sell the team, but Calvin Johnson ain't doing nothing but doing what anybody would do in his position. And the fans are stupid. They stupid to be mad at Megatron. You know what I'm saying? A guy that gave y'all the best moments of his career and wasted his career. Same thing to Matthew Stafford. Now, if Stafford come out and said it may be people may feel a little different. You know what I'm saying? They might trash Stafford and throw him up under the dumpster, or throw him in the dumpster and light it on fire and say, oh, Stafford ain't never, and watch some quick people turn. But ain't nobody ever turned on the Force, no matter how many players shuffle in, no matter how many players say that was consistent on what Calvin Johnson just said. People gonna act like the Fords ain't the problem. The Fords is Martha Ford is a huge problem. A huge problem. This team not gonna win. Talking about the 49ers. Jay York stepped out of the way. He's an a-hole for real. He's a jerk. But he stepped out the way and let John Lynch do his job. But yeah, I'm supporting Calvin Johnson 100%. Now, if this organization was winning, they had a playoff win and they had an NFC North Division title and they made some runs through the playoffs, made some runs to the Super Bowl or this, that, and the third, and Calvin Johnson was the only player saying this, no, but it's consistent. Lomas Brown, Barry Sanders, no matter probably Herman Moore, a lot of players said the same thing. Richard Sherman just came out and said the same thing about the Detroit Lions and stuff of that nature. So for Calvin, you know what I'm saying? I'm supporting Calvin Johnson. You know what I'm saying? He wasted his career in Detroit like Barry wasted his career in Detroit, like Matthew Stafford wasted his career in Detroit. And it's not because Detroit a bad city. Detroit got the best fan base in the NFL. Detroit and Cleveland. I don't care what they say about the Packers or what they say about the Giants fans. These teams went 0-16. Cleveland lost their team and watched them go win the Super Bowl in Baltimore. Let that sink in for a minute. You know what I'm saying? Detroit went 0-16. No playoff victory since 91. No NFL title since 57. And still that place sell out. Still they turn a profit. Still people show up and show out. Still the games don't black out. No matter, people go down and spend their money. So why would the Fords want to put a winner on the field anyway? Regardless, they put 1 or 2 stars out there, and that's gonna hold the fort. And every year, NFL from after the Super Bowl in February all the way into training camp and all the way to the season start, people they sell optimism. They sell it by the ounce, they sell it by the pound, they sell it by the key, they sell it by the ton. They sell a ton of optimism until reality set in. And you find out the team ain't really that good. And you already done spent on season tickets. You done spent on merchandise. So I don't get mad at Calvin Johnson. Do your thing. But a ton of fans, no matter how many players are consistent in what Calvin Johnson's saying, inside or outside his organization, they would tend to turn on the individual players. And I want to see if Matthew Stafford ever come out and say something. But he ain't going to never say nothing because they took care of him. You know what I'm saying? He may never come out and say something to the Force dead or whatever. But they took care of him. But he wasted his career here. If he was in Denver, Houston, he probably had some playoff wins. Or in New England, he had multiple Super Bowls or something like that. And this wouldn't even be a question. He'd be a surefire Hall of Famer. He'd be able to retire right now on top. So, like I said, there's no doubt in my mind that Detroit Lions and the Cleveland Browns got the 2 best fan bases in sports. But they 2 of the most, shitted on organizations out there. No matter how thick and how thin it get with them, they fans are still there repping their town, man. And if they ever bought one of those franchises, ever produce a winner for real, you really gonna see what showing out mean. But I ride with Calvin, Barry, Lomas Brown all day, man. This organization has, consistently half-ass put teams together. Not even half, quarter-ass putting teams together. They don't take care of their players. They don't give the players no leeway. Whatever Calvin Johnson really hitting at, they don't do it or the organization's doing. And the day after Richard Sherman said, Calvin Johnson come out here and say it. So I don't understand how people could turn on Calvin, a dude that gave it his all, that didn't quit. And he retired because his body was beat up. And he consoled. It ain't like he just made a spur of the moment thing. It ain't like this dude was a bad person. Detroit Lions had two of the greatest superstars of all time. Think about that for a minute. And probably would be the best of their position had they been in an organization that treated them properly and that put a team around them. Shit, Matthew Stafford too would be probably considered a top 5 quarterback with a Super Bowl or 2. With the right organization around, they potentially could have had two GOATs at their position at Calvin Johnson and Barry Sanders, and probably a top 5 quarterback in Matthew Stafford if they put the right things around him. You know what I'm saying? They arguably could have had that, but this is what happened when you got an organization that know what they doing, man. Martha Ford should be forced to sell the team. Somebody need to pull up some dirt on Martha Ford using the N-word or saying nakers. Joking. But saying something, dirt on her when she got to sell this team. You know what I'm saying? But as long as they control it, man, it's just going to be the way it is. We just hoping for lightning in the bottle. We hoping for a special player that can transcend the BS with Detroit and take them to the top. The only player that can transcend that is a quarterback, or you hoping somebody can transcend a general manager or coach, can elevate this team to a different level. But like they said, they ain't treating the players right. And the way the NFL set up, people say, well, why Calvin just don't leave? Franchise tag. You got to play 2 years on the franchise tag before you can be a free agent. You go out there and get injured, then what? So you want longevity. And they talking about putting another franchise tag in there. They talking about the next CBA adding a second franchise tag where you can tag 2 players. Man, the NFL players do that. They're absolute idiots. Another little nugget I haven't really talked about either on my other channel or on this channel is that they talking about eliminating a quarterback salary from the salary cap. So you can pay a quarterback as much as you want to and it won't count against the salary. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, how about just get rid of the franchise tag and let players be free agents? But it is what it is, man. Let me know what you guys think. Don't forget, we on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can reach out to the email if you have a business question, inquiry, sponsorship, or video request. Keep sharing the email, sharing the videos. You can email me as well, too. All my social media there. I'll link the podcast, link in the description, so you can check it out. Want to make a donation to the channel, PayPal, Cash App, link in the description. Best way to donate is share the video and check my other channel out, Goodfella Sports TV, right here on YouTube. Goodfella Sports TV, but y'all know what the business is. One time for the one time. It's your boy CJ Goodfella. More C Sports Talk. We out.